I didn't see you there. It's me, Ben, your commissioner, tied for first, 7-2, 5-game win streak. That's me. And I'm coming to you here from my front stoop, just like in week 1, because we have passed the halfway point of the season. In fact, for fantasy, it's already been more than halfway, but for football, it's been halfway. So I'm gonna do things a little differently. There's some mid-season awards I need to give out. And yes, every team gets a mid-season award. Before I get to the awards, let's see what's been going on in the world since football started. Thursday, September 4th, the day of the Packers-Seahawks game, the first game of the season, Joan Rivers died. Obama decided to airstrike Syria, get rid of those ISIS bastards. Not really sure how that's going. This thing called Ebola hit. Also not really sure what it is. I think it's the flu. It's not in LA. You don't catch the flu here. Not in LA. But yeah, I mean, a couple people died. I don't know. Africa, like, is fucked up, but isn't that usually true? I mean, the Republicans took the Congress, which I can't really imagine is very good. But hey, it's just the government, right? Who cares? There's a ceasefire in Ukraine. That's cool. I don't know if anyone really knew what was happening in Ukraine. I think we heard that there was like a war, Russia, Putin was invading or something, and then we all just kind of stopped caring. Well, there's a ceasefire that happened a couple months ago, so that's cool. Yeah. Rob Baronis died, Titans kicker, longtime kicker, I think in a DUI. It's sad, man. Kickers don't get enough appreciation. Oh, and just recently, Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, decided to legalize marijuana. People over 21 can have 2 ounces and can grow up to 6 plants. Okay, Washington, D.C. Oh, I went to Idaho. And Emil came to visit. Those are also big things in the world. And then Emil went to Asia and impregnated 4 Asians. But let's get to the awards, shall we? And I'm gonna start in no particular order. It's just whose names I thought of first. So many notes. I'm gonna start with Carter. Carter Beam, Rice's Bloody Fists. Carter Beam has won the award, I may be winning games, but it's not because of my managerial skills award. Now the reason I say that is because all season long, Mr. Beam has been battling with quarterback issues. Russell Wilson or Ben Roethlisberger. Week 5, he chose Ben Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger put up 12.72 points. Wilson put up 34.24 points. Week 8, he chose Russell Wilson, who put up 14.46 points. And Roethlisberger put up 44.78 points, the first of the 6 touchdown games. Now, to Carter's credit, when he started Roethlisberger over Wilson, the Steelers were playing the Jags, but Russell Wilson was playing in primetime football against the Redskins, so that should have been a tip-off. And then week 9, Roethlisberger puts up 6 touchdowns again and 35.7 points, but guess what? Carter decided to play Russell Wilson, who put up 10 points. Now, these didn't affect the games directly, but in a tight race like we have here, where Jones for Green is only 30-some points behind Rice's Bloody Fists for 6th place, you're going to need every point. In 3 weeks, that was a difference of 77 points, just by some poor managerial play. So that's your reward. Good job. Chris Mastrosimone, Italian Stallions. Chris, you get the Who the Fuck Thought I'd Be in 4th Place award. Because honestly, who the fuck thought you'd be in 4th place? I don't even think you did. In fact, your team has completely changed, and that's why. Let's see, week 1, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Deshaun Jackson, Brandon Marshall, Terrence Williams, Antonio Gates, Joyke Bell, D'Angelo Williams. That's the starting lineup. Well, and after 2 surprisingly big wins, and starting off 2-0, Ewing, Clinton Dixon-Lewinsky puts Mastro in his place, and then the next week he really gets put in his place by Jake. So all of a sudden Mastro's 2-2 and things need to change. That's when in week 5 he ships Julio Jones off for Victor Cruz and Lamar Miller, which I think is a pretty good trade. Unfortunately, Victor Cruz then goes out for the season the next week. He also picks up Steven Jackson and Andre Williams. Now picking up Andre Williams allows him to make a trade with Fremdog. The next week, week 6, where he trades Brandon Marshall, the struggling Brandon Marshall, and Andre Williams for Demaryius Thomas, who had just put up 42 points. Still a questionable trade by Frank. So now we're at week 10, and that week 1 lineup that was weak with no running back suddenly has transformed into what could be a pretty threatening lineup. Matt Ryan, Demaryius Thomas, Deshaun Jackson, Terrence Williams, Antonio Gates, Joique Bell, Lamar Miller, Steven Jackson. Now granted, like I said, the power rankings, the flex position is still not that strong, but if he can get a solid 12 to 15 points from Steven Jackson every week, it could be dangerous. So good job, Mastro. Fairly impressed. The next award I'm giving goes to Rye Guy. Rye Guy, you get the Fantasy Gods put a hit out on my team award, and for good reason. You've done a great job managing your team, and that's why I put as the power rankings a team that could still have a shot if some teams lose. Thomas the Tank Engine team. But it's been unfortunate. I mean, after week 1, we find out that Adrian Peterson beat his child in a pretty parental way. So he's out for like the season. Carson Palmer hurts his shoulder, rendering Michael Floyd completely ineffective. He's out for 4 weeks. Alshon Jeffrey gets hurt for a couple weeks, and he's out. The next week, Vernon Davis goes out with a back injury. Picks up Brian Quick, who is now out for the season just a couple weeks ago. It's been tough. It really has. Sorry, buddy. Frem. Congratulations, my friend. You've received the I talk so much shit in preseason, but I'm actually pretty shitty at fantasy award. And it's true. You did. You talked so much shit for how good you are at fantasy and how you're going to beat everyone's ass and you're going to draft the best team and your team's going to be the greatest. But even you know your team is full of peasants. Peasants. My friend, I love you, man, but god damn it, do you suck at fantasy. What is going on with your trades? I mean, Demaryius Thomas, after the 42-point game you had, like you had, I was going through the season numbers for Demaryius, and I saw that you actually had him for the 42 points, and then you traded him because you needed a running back, so you took Andre Williams. Brandon Marshall hadn't put up very many points. It wasn't like he was doing anything. Frem, Keenan Allen never started performing. That's who you need to get rid of. All right, Frem, let me break down your trade. After the week, Demaryius had 42 points, week 5. Week 6, he puts up 28. Marshall and Williams both combined for 23-ish. Week after that, Demaryius puts up 37. Marshall and Williams combined for, ding, 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 15.9 points. Nice. Let's see. The week after that, Marshall has 6.5 points. Williams is on his bye. Demaryius puts up 18.5. And the week after that, Marshall's on his bye. Williams is on his bench. He puts up 11.6 points, but Demaryius puts up 19. Frem. If you haven't been doing the math, let me do it for you. Demaryius outscored Williams and Marshall by 60 points, not to mention 11 that you left on the bench. And while Andre Williams is on the bench, Zach Stacy and Chris Ivory started, who combined for 2.2 points. Frem! Fuck, man. All right, four back. You've won the Bishop Sankey Award. Now, what does that mean, Ben? Bishop Sankey's been on your team for like 6 weeks now. There's no reason he should be on your team for 6 weeks. I even remember the days of you coming over and being like, this is it, this is Bishop Sankey's week. False. Here's some numbers for you. Week 4, you pick him up, he scores 13.7 on the bench. Understandable, who's gonna start Bishop Sankey, right? That's why Master dropped him. You still beat Nero. You start Bishop Sankey, and you get lucky you beat Preef because he only scored 2.7 points. You start Bishop Sankey again the next week. You lose to me, which was awesome. 7.8 points. Didn't really help your cause. You get rocked by Frem the next week because he's taken up a roster spot on your bench and he only put up 5.6 points. And you lose to Jake after that because he puts up 10 points also on your bench. Now, the next week he has a bye. Now he's sitting on your bench and you get the award because you've had faith in players like him. Let's see, Jay Cutler, Andrew Hawkins, Justin Hunter. Players who are either boom or bust like the last two or just aren't going to put up points, aren't going to be very good this year, but having a lot of faith in them. Jay Cutler, Bishop Sankey. It's tough, man. Bishop Sankey Award. Congratulations. Chip Daniels. Chip's D. You get the Flaccid Sally Award. The reason being, week 1, though Cam was hurt, Welker was out, Gordon's out, this was your team. Cam Newton, Michael Crabtree, Wes Welker, Reggie Wayne, Eddie Lacy, CJ Spiller, Julius Thomas, Noshawn Moreno, Josh Gordon. Those are the names on your team. Some of them injured, but all good names and a very good team on paper. But they never, ever, ever were able to get it up, were they? Not any of them, except Julius Thomas, which now you traded to me. Although you do have Andre Allen, who's can get it up, can get rock hard. But none of your players could. I think Welker had some Molly dick or something. I don't know how that works, but it did. Cam Newton, who's been one of the best fantasy quarterbacks in the last 4 years, completely a shit the bed. Noshawn has been injured and now is on the IR. Josh Gordon still hasn't come back. Eddie Lacy has been very inconsistent, as we've seen, and he's been underperforming, somewhat of a sophomore slump. CJ Spiller's now out for the season. I mean, your team just has a flaccid limp Sally. Emily Goldrigo. He received the I drafted 3 tight ends award. Because there's not much that needs to be said when you draft 3 tight ends, especially because none of them are very good. Tyler Eifert was the best one, and he got immediately injured. We have Jason Witten and Brent Selleck. It's an odd strategy to draft 3 tight ends. Not to mention drafting Seattle really early on. Des Bryant is your number 1 pick and the 4th pick of the draft, and then trading him away. And unfortunately for you, you did get fucked by the Bengals being one of the worst teams in the league that no one saw coming. Not even trying to use Giovanni Bernard. It's like they don't think he's good, which he is. That sucks, I'm sorry. You started 2-2, then you lost 4 straight, and it's too bad because one of the problems with your team is that Doug Martin never got it going. So you lost by 13, 11, 14, and then 25 before getting raped by Carter. Meaning, they were close games, but your team just wasn't good enough to get over the hump. Too much Sude. Next up, Jake. Jake, congratulations on your team, by the way. You get the, everyone may hate me in the fact that I'm winning, but I'm winning, so you can all suck my dick award. And it's true. Yes, we may hate you. Yes, we may hate that you win. Yes, your trash talk is really annoying. Yes, your names have both been pretty weak and lame, and claiming them as the best ones and putting them in capitals has just pissed everyone off. Yes, this is all true, but it's also true that you're winning, so you can tell everyone to suck your dick, because it's true. You are. Jake's team is the only team that's gone over 180 points. He's done it 3 times. That's all that's really needed to be said about Jake's team. Me, I'm the Riding Peyton Manning's Forehead Wave Award. My team, 7-2, 5 wins in a row. Riding Peyton Manning's Forehead Wave Award. Why? Well, last year I rode Peyton Manning's forehead all the way to the championship. I lost in the championship to Ewing, but I did. This year I'm doing the same goddamn thing. He has not scored less than 21 points in any game this season. He's the 2nd most producing quarterback besides for Andrew Luck, who's having an incredible fantasy year. I also could win the Getting Hot at the Right Time award, but it's still early. It's still early. Finally, my team is shaping into the team I wanted to be award, because at the beginning of the season, the team was underperforming, not looking too good. But now, besides for last week, I've been averaging 162 points in the last 3 weeks. For that, the first 5 weeks of the season, you're averaging 125 points or around it. So look at that. Team's coming into its form. Matt Forte playing incredible. Antonio Brown playing incredible. Drew Brees and the Saints are starting to win and look like Drew Brees and the Saints. What else could you hope for? And finally, Ewing, the dude. I just need a consistent wide receiver 1 and I'll be unbeatable award. But it's not going to happen, Ewing. T.Y. Hilton is starting to shape into a wide receiver 1. I wouldn't say he's there yet. I think he's in the middle between 1 and 2, 1.5, wide receiver 1.5. But he is in the conversation. Steve Smith has faltered. His first 6 games, he averaged 18.6 points, but in his last 3, he's only averaging 8 points. Jamal Charles and DeMarco Murray are great, but they're not going to carry this team to the championship without the help of a consistent wide receiver 1. Losing the last 2 weeks to both Macklin on some bitches and Nelson's Mandelas, well, you see who the top 2 teams are in the league, followed by the 3rd one pretty clearly. I hope you're all happy with your awards. Keep them. Hold on to them tight. And we'll see how the season comes to a close when you get your final awards. That being said, we're going to go through a couple individual awards here, moves mainly, transactions, not team awards. We'll start with the best waiver move. That goes to me, Ronnie Hillman, clearly. It's the week that Brandon Oliver was also on the waiver wire and everyone wanted to pick him up. Ewing took him number 1. I took Ronnie Hillman number 2. In the last 3 games, Hillman scored 67 points, while Oliver has only scored 25. And it seems to be on a trend like that, especially with Ryan Matthews starting to come back soon. Ronnie Hillman is turning into my 2nd RB1, which has allowed me to trade Andre Ellington and co for Julius Thomas and Michael Crabtree. Hopefully that will pay off for me. The worst waiver move, Bishop Sankey. That stands out at least. I don't really know any other terrible waiver moves, but just odd that he's still on the team holding a roster spot. Our best trade is the Victor Cruz, Lamar Miller for Julio Jones between Mastro and Borbeck. I think that's a very fair trade. It was what both teams needed. It's just too bad that Victor Cruz got hurt for Mastro. Lamar Miller is turning into a solid RB 1-2, 1.5, or good enough with the receivers he's got. But the question is Joyke Bell. Now that Reggie Bush is kind of off his injury, will he be as productive? Our worst trade of the year is a tie with both of Fred's trades. The first one, Demaryius Thomas for Brandon Marshall and Andre Williams, we've talked about. The second one, Shane Vereen, right after Stephen Ridley gets injured for the season, for Matt Asiata and Ruben Randall. Now, Here's a number for you. Since that trade, Shane Vereen has 52 points. Since that trade, Ruben Randall has 22 points. He's also been on the bye 1 week. Since that trade, Matt Asiata had 6 points and then 3 touchdowns and 29 points. But guess what? He wasn't even on the team. Frem immediately dropped him. Didn't even reap the benefits of that part. So it was really Vereen versus Randall, which has been not very helpful so far. Jake has Vereen now, and that could be very dangerous for the rest of the league, depending really on how Jeremy Hill plays. Our most surprising team, Chris Mastro, Italian Stallions. Very well done, man. I'm very impressed. Made some interesting trades. Didn't really seem right. It was a pretty interesting draft as well. You're in 4th place and you're looking strong. Good job. Most surprising. Biggest disappointment, that's got to be the straight diarrhea. Dude, preseason ranked #1 and pretty clear-cut last place. You're fighting it out for Chips D from Saka. Best names, Ryan Armitano. And not really surprised, very whiz kid with the names and the phrases and the puns, if you will. Monte 8 Ball, love that one. Israel Father, that's kind of lazy in between names, and not true, but okay. Adrian's favorite son, gotta love that one, especially since he drafted Adrian. And Typhoid Carter. Everyone loves making fun of Carter, especially when it has to do with some disease that he might get. So, well done. Worst names, pretty clearly, Jake. Lux Instagram, dude, a social media name. Come on. It's in all caps. Get the fuck rid of the all caps. Get rid of the fucking all caps. I don't even get it. Nelson's Mandela's is alright, but it's annoying that it's in caps. It bothers me. My last thing I'm gonna say, boys, before I get to the predictions, which will be very quick. If the playoffs ended today, Jake would be the #1. I would be the #2. Ewing would be the #3. Astro would be the #4. Preef would be #5. And Carter would be #6. And I believe the way that would be, the playoffs would shape up would be me and Jake at the bye. Ewing would play Carter. The winner of that would play me in the conference championships. And Mastro would play Preef, and the winner of that would play Jake in the conference championships. From there, who knows? Playoffs are always tough because it's towards the end of the season. One team could be great, one team could suck for no reason. So, that's where we're at mid-season, boys. Well, mid-NFL season. Fantasy season's coming down. Week 13 is the last week. We're already at week 10. God damn! Win out or go home. That's what the motto's going to be for pretty much every team in this league. Well, except me and Jake, because we're pretty much locked for the playoffs eventually. Knock on wood. #2, Macklin on some bitches versus #5, Le'Veon's Blunt Cruise. Taking Macklin on some bitches. I got it. My team, baby. #1, Nelson's Mandela's versus #12, Chips D. That's not like a real question, right? Nelson's Mandela's will take this. #9, Team of Peasants versus #11, Straight Diarrhea. With Straight Diarrhea's bye week happening, I mean, it's not even diarrhea anymore, it's just watery poopy water. Team Peasants. #3, Clinton Dixon Lewinsky versus #10, Typhoid Carter. I want to say Typhoid Carter. It'd be a huge upset victory. Going Clinton Dixon Lewinsky though. #7, Jones and for Green versus #8, Bands That Make Her Dance. Taking Jones and for Green. You know, it'd be a different game if Andy Dalton didn't put up 1 point, but he did, so Jones and for Green. Lastly, #4, Italian Stallions versus #6, Rice's Bloody Fist. I think with the game Terrence West had, it's going to give it to Rice's Bloody Fist. It was a good enough game for his RB2 to take it home. Those are your projections. Those are your mid-season awards. Good luck, boys.